Hey, Kevin here, top 100 financial advisor and best-selling author, and we are here to talk about the stock market. Today I want to answer a question that y'all asked me, and I thought was a really good one, and that is how much of my portfolio should be in cryptocurrencies. One of the reasons why this came up today is because Public announced that they are now going to start to allow cryptocurrencies to be traded on the app, which is really cool. I've got crypto in some different places. Maybe I'll move it over. We'll see. But the question is, I've got my stocks here, I can get some crypto here. How much should I really own? What makes sense and what is a benchmark or a guideline to how much I should have so I can get any possible growth but also protect myself? And that's my job, to give you some tips that you can work with and modify for yourself. So as I'm telling you this, remember, you want to take this and adjust it for where you want to be as an investor. I don't know your goals, okay? I don't know them. So I'm going to give you my logic. I'll give you my guidance, and then you take it and you see what fits for you. And you may or may not believe the same thing that I do. So again, my job is to get you, or to try to get you, the highest amount of growth for the least amount of risk. So imagine it like a graph. We're trying to be right there in the middle so you can grow and also be protected. What I don't want to see is you do nothing and put all your money in cash and not grow. But I also don't want to see you put everything into riskiest things and you make a whole bunch of money overnight and then tomorrow everything blows apart. You want to be right in the middle. That's going to help you to weather the storms. Just like we saw, I don't know, all of last month, right? The market was good the last 3 days, and people already forgot what happened last month. So my job is to keep you calm, keep you in the middle, keep you protected, but also to help you to grow, right? Now, before I get to that number, I want to walk through the logic because this is what people need to understand. I don't like just throwing stuff at you, hey, you do this, without explaining what's going on. So my recommendation is that you just have anywhere between 1 to 5% of your overall portfolio in crypto. As if you want crypto. You do not have to have it. If you want to, I think 1 to 5% at this point in time makes sense. Okay, so let's say if I'm investing just $1,000, that means if I go all the way up to 5%, then $50 of my overall portfolio can be crypto. You probably don't want to go more than that. I'm going to explain why in just a minute. I know some people are going to be upset with that number, but I want to tell you why in just a second. So again, 1 to 5% of your overall portfolio, in my view, can be in crypto. If you go above that, you're taking a little bit more risk. Okay. Just throw that out there. Here is why. Cryptocurrencies, especially the ability to trade them, is still very, very, very new. Yes, Bitcoin's been around for 10 plus years. That's not the case for all of them. And they don't have the exact same uses that, I don't know, let's say gold and silver does. But even so, with gold and silver, there are still issues there. What do I mean by that? We know, number one, and my philosophy is you invest in what you know, right? Not just what I can feel and understand and walk into a store, but more importantly, I've got data that I can just spit at you every 21 days. This happens. You hold something for 5 years. This happens. Like, I have all this stuff because we've been in the era of the stock market for decades, 1950s, 1960s, and go even further back if we wanted to. We know what the stock market is, and we know for a fact that it generates millionaire after millionaire after millionaire for those who invest for the long term. We do not know that yet for crypto for longer periods of time. Yes, we saw people last year. Yes, we saw people in 2017, 2018, but it is still relatively new. We also know that cryptocurrencies are very volatile. And the last thing I'll say about that is there is no strategy or management or leadership in the crypto space, and that is the biggest issue when it comes to volatility. Now, I got some crypto. I'm not anti-crypto at all. Okay, I add, just like I add money to my stocks every single week, I add money to my crypto about every 2 weeks. I put money in there too, so I'm not bashing any cryptocurrency. What I am telling you is when it comes down to strategy and where I can evaluate something, I can sit down and say, this is what Elon Musk said. Let me go look at the statements. Let me see what's going on in the market and the economy and decide what is going to happen and make I wouldn't say 9 times out of 10, but more often than not, we're going to be right. We talked about this, right? We talked about the infrastructure bill and how stocks were going to react. I did a video, not a video, an email, which is why you want to be on the email list. Went back through some of my emails and saw that we were talking about Lowe's and Williams-Sonoma. Those stocks are up like 9 and 20% since the time that we had mentioned it about 2 months ago. Right? The reason we said that is because where we thought the housing market was going to go and what was going on. These are things that I can easily link to a business. I cannot do that with crypto yet. You can. Now you got some crypto nerds that are going to tell you this, and all throw all this stuff at you. But the truth is, cryptocurrencies only go up because people think cryptocurrency is going to go up or there's going to be adopted. I cannot sit down and say revenue, leadership, new product, economy, customers are buying this. I can't do any of that. I can tell you right now that I am losing faith in Netflix based on where they're going in the gaming space and what I think about Roku and how those things can compete and decide what I want to think about those. I can say I can hold on to Disney because at some point, COVID is going to be over. People are going to go into the parks. People will go back to the movie theaters. You see where I'm going here, right? There's a logic behind it. And right now, cryptocurrencies are a commodity. Can they be used for certain things? Could they be used for NFTs? Could they be adopted in places like, I think, El Salvador? All those things are 100% true. But again, there's just an irrational belief in some cases that it's going to go up and people can make money. People have made money, and that's totally fine. The problem is what you don't want to do is wake up like we did earlier this year, right? When Elon Musk tweets something and the entire crypto market crashes overnight. You don't want to be in that situation. You don't want to risk, 50% of your portfolio because of one person's tweet. You don't want to risk 50% of your portfolio because something in El Salvador doesn't go the way you want it to. You don't want to risk 50% of your portfolio or more due to what China and what they want to do. You do not want to do that, right? So my job is to say, well, look, what makes sense where you can grow and see some profits, but also if something terrible happens, like the China thing or the Elon Musk tweets or whatever may happen in the next day, right, or the next 10 days or 20 days or years, you can still get exposure is what we call it. Get exposure, get that growth, but also, hey, something happens, it was 5%. It was $50 out of the $1,000 that I had, or 5% of whatever amount that you may invest in. You got more money, that 5% is going to look a lot bigger, okay? Now that's number one. 1 to 5% of the portfolio I think makes sense because as much as people want to hype cryptocurrencies, if you are a beginner, you probably don't know as much as you should know. But also from a historical perspective, we as a culture and as investors don't know everything we need to know about cryptocurrencies. We don't. We have not gone through it before. We just talked about the El Salvador thing and how they're adopting it. This is the first time it's ever happened. It's been happening for hundreds of years in the stock market, so I know what to expect. I know the product. You can research the product. You can obviously research Bitcoin. You can obviously research Ethereum, Dogecoin. You research all that stuff. But again, look at what Dogecoin did earlier. The only reason that it was created was because of a joke. Now, did people make money? Yes. You go do what you want to do. But we also know pump and dump schemes, all that type of stuff falls into that category. So I also don't like penny stocks, right? Hate me if you want, but you see what happens to people who invest in penny stock. Now, I think I like Bitcoin. For those who are asking, I like Bitcoin. I like Ethereum. I like Cardano. Those are the ones I like. That's not to say that the other ones aren't legit or not. I'm just telling you what I like. The more research I do, the more I'll talk about it. But again, 1 to 5% of your overall portfolio, I think makes sense. Now, once you get to that 1 to 5%, you don't have to have 5. You don't have to have any. Totally up to you. But once you get to that 5, that's when I'm going to break it down and diversify a little bit more. From there, I'm probably going to split up and diversify a bit more and say probably 5% of the 5%. I know it's a little extra, but 5% of the 5% is what I would have in any one cryptocurrency. Why do I say that? The exact same logic applies to the stock market. So for individual stocks, I try to make sure that I don't have any more than 5% in one single stock. You can put as much as you want in index fund, you're totally fine there. But for example, if I got Google, if I got $1,000, I'm not trying to put in more than 5% because Google could go wrong, right? And if I have 5% as a max across all my stocks, I can have up to 20 stocks, which allows me to be diversified. Don't you love math? That's what has me even. If one goes down, I still got 19. If half go down, I still got another half, right? Which we hope that didn't happen, but I can spread myself out. 20 stocks is a good number. I like 10 to 15 a bit more, but again, the math says that you can have up to, right, up to 20 at 5% each. You're going to be out there, you're going to be diversified, you should be good. So if I'm looking at crypto and I've got that 5%, I'm going to break that 5% down and get me as 5%. If I want to, you can do more, you can be a little more flexible there, but I can get me some Bitcoin and get me some Ethereum, Cardano, Doge, or whatever it is you want to invest in, and still diversify within that tiny 5%. Now, if you want to do more, you are more than welcome to. Okay, you're more than welcome to invest however you want to invest. I'm just telling you that, one, I personally think you should have some. Okay, you should have some crypto. How much crypto? It's totally up to you. I'm just saying, I know how investors behave. You saw how investors behaved back in, what was that, April, May-ish, when the whole Elon SNL thing happened. You saw what happened. Okay, people don't act well when the market drops. You saw what people did last month. You saw what people did in March of 2020. You saw what people did in 2017, 2018, when Bitcoin hit that magical number and dropped 80 to 90% within just a few weeks. Okay, now if you can hold on and stick through that stuff, you are totally fine. Everybody is not built that way. I'm gonna be honest with you. Everybody is not built that way. So if you are limiting yourself to 5% and it drops, but you got index funds, you got quality stocks and all kinds of stuff, you might be okay, you might not notice. Okay. Those who are not and react like, hey, I got into something and I left it and I panicked because it dropped over 5 weeks, then it might not be for you. Okay, so what I think, 1 to 5%, I think that makes sense. Of your overall portfolio, I think that makes sense to put into cryptocurrencies. If you want to break it down any further, 5% of the 5% for any one currency. So it would be, I can get me Bitcoin and all the other stuff inside that 5%. Lastly, when I say your overall portfolio, I mean, if I got my retirement somewhere and I got 100,000 here, and then I've got money over here, I'm gonna add that all up and get what 5% is there, and I can do it inside of Public or Coinbase or Robinhood or wherever else you got it. But I think that makes sense. So you're not saying 5% of this account that I have. It's of all my accounts, add up all my accounts, and then take 5%, and that's the maximum amount that I would consider putting in crypto at this point in time. When we learn more, we can adjust this information. But it would be irresponsible for me, for someone who has done this and been in the space for a little bit, to say, yeah, sure, put 25% in it, see what happens. Could you make more money by doing that? Possible. Totally possible that you could. But also consider the downsides. When we see, if you look at Bitcoin, you'll see there's 60% dips ever so often. You very, very rarely see that type of dip in the market so often. You had 2020 where the market dipped 30 some odd percent and recovered before the year was over, and then you had 2008. You can't really name a period where it dropped like that up until the early 2000s. So we're talking 20 years and you had 3 major dips. A lot of these cryptocurrencies dip like that once or twice a year, or at least once every 3 years, which isn't always the best thing if you are not ready for it. The last thing I'll say, I know this is getting long, is do the exact same research I've been telling y'all to do for everything else. Don't just jump into it because you see people jump into it because you understand it and you see where things are going. Again, I think crypto is here to stay. I don't think it's a fad. We've seen Bitcoin be adopted, which I think is a good thing generally. You might see some regulations that may or may not hurt things in the short term. We saw what happened with China. We'll see what happened with the United States at some point in time. So that is my rant. That is what I would consider how much of your portfolio you should put into cryptocurrencies. That is my thought. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Everybody has their own investing strategy, and that is totally fine. Don't come at me, because y'all know I got the smoke, and I'm not playing with y'all. but not really. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. How much do you think makes sense for crypto? Are you out on crypto and say, hey, it's not for me, I don't understand it yet, which is totally fine. All right, let me know. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.